The wedding lasted less than 20 minutes, but it destroyed one life and quietly changed another forever. Every guest whispered the same cruel sentence as the bride walked toward the altar with tears she refused to let fall. They believed she had lost everything. She wasn't marrying for love. She wasn't marrying for hope. She was marrying to save her family's name from complete ruin. Standing across from her was a quiet single father wearing an old gray suit that looked years out of date, holding the tiny hand of his 6-year-old daughter. Everyone pitied him because he appeared poor. Everyone mocked him because they believed he had nothing. What no one in that church knew was that the man standing silently before the altar wasn't broke at all. He was the richest man alive, and he had chosen to hide the truth. Before we continue, if you believe kindness, second chances, and unexpected miracles can change lives, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with your friends, and subscribe to Kindness Legacy. Your support helps us bring more emotional stories that remind the world that compassion still exists. Maris Davenport had spent 28 years believing hard work could solve every problem. She graduated with honors, dreamed of opening her own architectural firm, and imagined a future built on honesty instead of wealth. But dreams collapsed overnight after her father's construction company became trapped in a massive financial scandal caused by a trusted business partner who disappeared with millions of dollars. Banks froze every account. Their mansion was seized. Creditors appeared every day. Her father suffered a heart attack from the overwhelming stress, leaving him weak and unable to fight. The only person offering help was an elderly businessman named Victor Ashbourne, whose family had known the Davenports for decades. Victor made a shocking proposal. If Maris agreed to marry a widowed single father he personally recommended, he would clear every debt, protect her father's reputation, and ensure her family could start again. Desperate to save the only people she loved, Maris accepted without ever meeting the man. That man was Rowan Mercer. When Rowan arrived at the church with his daughter Elsie, people instantly judged him. His suit was simple. His shoes showed signs of wear. He drove an aging pickup truck with faded paint. The gossip spread through the church like wildfire. Guests whispered that Victor had forced Maris into marrying a poor laborer with a child. Some laughed quietly while others shook their heads in pity. Maris avoided looking at Rowan because every glance reminded her that her future had been chosen for her. What she didn't know was that every detail had been carefully planned. Rowan had spent years living anonymously despite controlling a global investment empire worth hundreds of billions of dollars. After losing his beloved wife to a sudden illness, he abandoned luxury and fame. He watched executives value profit over people. He saw friendships disappear when money entered the room. Most painfully, he realized people treated him differently the moment they discovered his fortune. He wanted his daughter to grow up surrounded by genuine kindness instead of endless greed. So he stepped away from the spotlight, appointed trusted professionals to manage his businesses, and quietly lived an ordinary life while secretly funding hospitals, schools, and charities across the world. Victor knew Rowan better than anyone. He also knew Maris possessed the rare honesty Rowan admired. Their marriage wasn't arranged for money alone. Victor believed two broken hearts could heal each other. The first weeks of marriage felt painfully awkward. Maris moved into Rowan's modest home on the outskirts of town. The small house had only 3 bedrooms, old wooden floors, and a garden filled with colorful flowers planted by Elsie. It was nothing like the luxurious mansion Maris had grown up in. She expected to feel trapped, yet the tiny home carried a strange warmth she had never experienced before. Every morning Rowan prepared breakfast before sunrise. He packed Elsie's school lunch, repaired things around the house himself, and volunteered at local community projects whenever possible. He never complained. He never raised his voice. He treated Maris with gentle respect even though she barely spoke to him. Maris remained distant because she believed she had sacrificed her future. She convinced herself that kindness couldn't replace love. Every evening she secretly searched online for architectural jobs while wondering how different life could have been. One rainy afternoon everything began to change. Elsie came home from school soaked after another student had destroyed her umbrella as a cruel joke. Instead of crying, the little girl smiled weakly and hugged Maris for the first time, whispering that she hoped her new mother wasn't angry because umbrellas could always be replaced. That innocent sentence shattered something inside Maris. She suddenly realized the child wasn't responsible for the strange marriage. Elsie simply wanted someone to love her after losing her mother years earlier. From that day forward, Maris slowly opened her heart. She braided Elsie's hair every morning before school. They baked cookies together during weekends. They planted vegetables beside the flower garden and laughed whenever squirrels stole tomatoes before they ripened. Little by little, the empty silence inside the house transformed into genuine happiness. Rowan watched everything quietly. He never pressured Maris to love him. He only appreciated every small moment she shared with his daughter. Months passed peacefully until one afternoon Maris attended an architecture interview at a prestigious company. She believed it was finally her opportunity to rebuild her career. Instead, she faced humiliation. The interviewer recognized her family name and mocked the financial scandal that had destroyed her father's reputation. He laughed that no respectable company would ever hire someone connected to bankruptcy. Several employees overheard the cruel remarks while pretending not to notice. Maris walked out fighting tears. Unknown to her, Rowan had witnessed everything from across the street after finishing volunteer work nearby. That evening he said nothing. The following morning the company's board unexpectedly announced the immediate dismissal of the executive responsible for humiliating job applicants. Anonymous donors also established a scholarship fund helping families affected by corporate fraud. No one connected those events to Rowan. Maris certainly didn't. She simply believed karma had finally answered. Life became even more meaningful after she found work designing affordable housing projects for struggling families. The salary wasn't impressive, but every completed home reminded her why she had chosen architecture in the first place. Meanwhile, Rowan continued disappearing several days every month, claiming he handled consulting work for private clients. Maris never questioned him because he always returned before Elsie's school recital, family dinners, or weekend picnics. Then came the charity gala that changed everything. Maris attended with co-workers after receiving free tickets. She borrowed an elegant blue dress from a friend because buying one wasn't possible. As she entered the luxurious ballroom, giant screens displayed photographs of the mysterious billionaire known only as RM, whose charitable foundation had donated billions to humanitarian projects around the world. Very few people had ever seen his face publicly. Moments later the ballroom doors opened. Executives, politicians, celebrities, and international investors immediately stood to applaud. Maris turned toward the entrance. Her heart stopped. Walking calmly through the crowd wearing a perfectly tailored black tuxedo was Rowan. The same humble man who fixed leaking faucets. The same father who made pancakes shaped like hearts every Sunday. The same husband who quietly watered flowers before sunrise. Every powerful guest greeted him with enormous respect. Some even bowed slightly. The announcer welcomed him as Rowan Mercer, founder and chairman of the world's largest private investment group and the greatest philanthropist of his generation. Maris couldn't breathe. Everything she believed collapsed within seconds. After the ceremony, Rowan approached her exactly as he always had, smiling gently without arrogance. Later that evening he explained the truth. He never hid his wealth to deceive her. He hid it because money had stolen genuine relationships throughout his life. He wanted someone to know his heart before discovering his fortune. Victor had believed Maris was that person. At first she felt betrayed. Not because Rowan was rich. Because he hadn't trusted her enough to reveal the truth. Rowan accepted her anger without defending himself. He simply apologized. Days passed before Maris finally understood something important. Every beautiful memory they had created together happened before she knew about the billions. Every smile from Elsie had been real. Every act of kindness Rowan showed had expected nothing in return. The wealth changed nothing about the man she had slowly fallen in love with. One quiet evening she found Rowan repairing the old wooden fence behind their little house instead of relaxing in one of his luxurious estates. She realized he never needed those palaces. Home wasn't defined by expensive walls. Home was wherever the people you loved chose to stay. From that day forward they built a new future together. Instead of moving into extravagant mansions, they expanded their modest home just enough for comfort. Together they launched affordable housing initiatives, rebuilt schools in forgotten communities, funded children's hospitals, and created scholarships for students whose dreams had been interrupted by financial hardship. Maris finally opened her architectural firm, not to design skyscrapers for billionaires, but to create beautiful neighborhoods where ordinary families could afford safe homes. Elsie grew into a compassionate young girl who understood that true wealth wasn't measured by bank accounts but by the number of lives touched with kindness. Years later, when reporters asked Rowan why the richest man alive still preferred living so simply, he smiled toward Maris and Elsie playing in the garden. He answered that he had already owned everything money could buy. The only treasures worth protecting were trust, family, and love earned honestly. Maris often remembered the frightened woman walking down the church aisle believing her life had ended. She wished she could whisper to that younger version of herself that sometimes the greatest blessings arrive disguised as the biggest sacrifices. Because the poor single father everyone pitied had never needed saving. Instead, he quietly saved everyone around him. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a heartfelt comment telling us what true wealth means to you, share this story with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Kindness Legacy for more emotional journeys that remind us kindness is the greatest fortune anyone can possess. Rose special request, in memory of every single parent who sacrifices everything for their children, please write "Kindness Changes Lives" in the comments to honor their strength and unconditional love. Sometimes life hides extraordinary blessings inside ordinary people. The world judged Rowan by his old clothes and simple lifestyle, but character can never be measured by appearances. In the end, Maris didn't fall in love with the richest man alive. She fell in love with the humble father who chose kindness over pride, generosity over luxury, and love over wealth. And that became the greatest fortune either of them would ever own.